The second audience, of course, is what we call, in our analyzing rhetorically of the persuasive essay, the acrimonious audience. Remember that term? We've used it before. The acrimonious audience. That's the audience that does not agree with him. That's the audience internationally or locally within the nation who do not agree with him. And notice the genius of the speech. He's able to kind of reach out and say, we're all in this together. We don't want to go back to an earlier time. What we want to do, though, is make the country a light going forward. Finally, 3A. Let's go ahead and try and relate somehow to a title like this. And at 3A, let's begin by asking, what is for you other speeches that you're familiar with? Several times, probably, I'm guessing, in your high school or in your academic career, maybe even before high school, you studied other speeches. Like, for example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, I Have a Dream. That famous speech given at the Lincoln Memorial. What is for you your favorite text of a speech that somehow you can resonate here with this one? So you can compare to it. What is your favorite movie about a famous American politician? Do you have one? Write it down. What do you know about John F. Kennedy? Are you familiar at all with any movies, with any songs that reference John F. Kennedy? Notice here, we're just trying to relate in some way to the text. Of course, now at 3B, we're asking about how you relate personally to a title like this. What are your thoughts about this notion that your country is only as good as you work to make it? Do you have that view of America? Or are you more inclined to look at America and ask, what can the country do for me? I've said this in earlier lectures. I will say it again. Many of my juniors are stunned when I say it. You do understand what your country has done for you. The amount of money that's been spent on you alone for each of you to educate you in a public school. That's a lot of money, guys, that has been given to you. But it hasn't been given to you without strings attached. Even though often those strings were unstated, I will state it out loud. There is an agreement in American education that says the following. We will protect you. We will educate you. We will prepare you for a future. It is your obligation, though, to turn around and do something with that education. It is your obligation to do something for your country. Do you buy that? That's my question in 3B. Do you resonate with that notion? Has it ever even crossed your mind that you're going to graduate from high school so that you can help America, the country that gave you your education? Do we even think in those terms anymore? Are we even capable of thinking in those terms anymore? It's an interesting 3B question. Of course, a 3B question here as well is, for you, what's your favorite lines out of this? What for you is the thing that you most resonate with? That's an easy 3B question for you. Is there a word picture? I've had juniors that say, you know what, that's that fascinating word picture about riding on a tiger. You got to be careful, because when you ride on a tiger, you often can be inside the tiger before you know it, because the tiger can eat you. That's a compelling word picture. And of course, you could ask the question in your own life, have you ever found that to be the case? Many addicts will say that. Many addicts will say, man, I started on the tiger, thought I was having a good time of it, and then all of a sudden I realized I got ate up by that tiger. That's what addiction actually in the end always is, right? It always starts out as no big deal, and then it starts out as addiction, which you can't control. It's a compelling word picture. What's your favorite word picture? What's your favorite lines from this? We now are finally in our last minutes together. We're going to turn now, and we're actually going to watch this speech. Now, you've heard it, and you've heard John Kennedy give it, but you're not going to read now. Instead, you're going to watch. Now, here's what we're going to be paying attention to. So jump to 3A really quickly and take a couple of notes. Because we're obviously, when we look at a text, right, and we read a text, we are still comparing text. So let's make a note or two here. When you watch this, and we're just going to show it on the whiteboard from a YouTube clip. When you watch this speech, what do you see as compellingly different from listening to the speech? For example, what do you notice about Kennedy's hand gestures, gesticulations? What do you notice about the power of his pauses when he looks up at the audience? And of course, is several times in this speech interrupted with applause. What do you see in terms of the people behind Kennedy and how they're responding to what it is that he has to say? All right, here in a second we'll come back and we'll study the speech as it's given. Thank you.